gonna give you the end of the theme, Brad,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna kick us off. How's it go? Dun, 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 dun.
Right on!
All right. Right on indeed. Welcome to another edition of Belonging Songs, the podcast that brings you a brand new original song with each episode, then talks about the theme of that song and the processes that went into writing and recording it, the changes we make along the way. I am your host, Wade Dana. With me in the studio today, my good buddies Chad Kelton.
Hello.
And Bradley Maurer.
Hello.
And Patrick Crane. Manica Patrick.
Is that a race car driver?
Yes. Manica Patrick. Patrick.
It's got a name now.
Via Zoom. Yeah, we did write that. So we have Patrick on Zoom, the computer as the head of Manica Patrick. Bradbot is not pleased that Manica Patrick is back in the studio.
At all.
Stormed out of here. Chuckers was supposed to come over today, so he's extra pissed anyway.
Yep.
WWF.
So Patrick is here with us, soldiering on with an injury from that tiger claw to the face that we've mentioned.
During an intense
Tim
Tim
McGraw, yeah. So,
bout.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and get this in. We are drawing our ingredient song. So this is an
You are
ingredient song
drawing your
alert.
ingredient song, not we.
Yeah, this is mine. I'm trailblazing. We have drawn for Chad. We've drawn for Brad. We don't know when these episodes are coming out, in what order. So, listeners, if you are new to Belonging Songs, the ingredient songs are something we do each season where we draw for different elements of a song and then have to create songs based on that criteria.
Oh, I think we forgot one important person we've drawn through, our listeners.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hopefully there are listeners out there working on their ingredient songs. Perhaps we've already even heard them before any of our this comes out.
I don't know about you, but I've heard it.
Okay,
Yep.
Good. Today we're drawing my ingredients.
Yep.
We're just going to jump right in because Patrick needs some nappy time.
Okay, so we're going to flip a coin.
And we're going to flip 4. Brad, do you want to take over on this?
No.
No? Okay.
Not at all. Not the slightest.
Manica Patrick
Manica Patrick.
You see how,
Manica Patrick could just run this through the processors.
see how fast he tried to chuck those hosting duties at me? Son of a bitch.
He's sick of reading that list.
It seems like a lot, but it's going to be spread out throughout the course of the second half
tempo
of the
is
season.
north of 130,
Yes.
south of 110.
Correct.
Patrick,
Uh-huh.
heads are high or
heads
low?
Heads is low today.
Heads is low. Okay. For Wade Dana, tails.
So I'm writing a
Fast.
100.
130 beats
130
per
and up.
minute plus.
So my song will be fastish.
Faster song.
I think I got fast last year. Last year was my modern technology.
Fast was good for
and
you.
it was fast.
Fast was good for
And
you.
I got slow the first season with
You did.
Trailblazin'.
It's
So
good slope.
I've had both.
Good slope. Comfortable.
Going
Still
back to
comfortable.
going back
As of
fast.
right now, pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm feeling good
easily
about this
into-
song
Okay.
so far. Yeah.
The happy
Yeah.
sad. Patrick Tails.
Oh, yeah. Tails is sad.
Tails is sad.
Ooh,
Here we go.
yeah,
On this
I mean, that's my wheelhouse.
on this particular quarter, the Tails side is actually an Indy car for the state of Indiana.
Oh,
Danica
Manica
Patrick.
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 It's all see how everything's tying together. All right.
Drive home.
All right. And the flip. Heads.
Ooh.
Happy?
We all forgot. It was 8 seconds ago. Rewind the tape.
Yeah, I think that's happy.
I think it is happy. Tails was sad.
Okay. So
All right.
so far,
If not,
130
auto-tune
happy.
me
Things are
saying
coming
the
up.
right
Real
thing.
Wade, you're probably feeling pretty good about this song right
Yeah, you gotta.
well,
you
so
feel
far
like
I could just play you last year's
now.
song.
Yeah, but I
this
mean,
got to feel like a fresh pair of socks, like
Yeah.
comfy.
right, not a big deal.
supportive.
I got
Not a
this.
big deal.
Extremely
I hear
confident.
Uncle Dave talking about wanting to race somebody now.
Of course he is. He's in there going vroom, vroom, vroom.
He can't drive. He can hardly see.
Revving up his recliner.
Yeah. Also gross is the things he was saying he was going to do to Danica Patrick.
Well,
I think,
yeah.
don't give him a microphone.
Well, and
No, he's not
you
allowed
should
on
have.
the microphone.
Manica Patrick was getting it
Yeah.
too.
And
Yeah.
he has been asking about updates on his Arrowcat team. Are we
Delay.
gonna-
Keep delaying.
yeah, okay. I mean, okay, yeah.
All right.
Next, we are going to figure out what sort of theme I will be working with here. So,
What are those themes?
All right, well, thank you, Patrick, for asking. Let me tell you. The themes this season: illusions, gallows humor, stray bullets, mystical beasts, which hopefully our listeners are working on, game face, witchcraft, clones, which Brad wanted, but
I
didn't
did
get.
want it. I did not get it.
Park bench, live bait, glamping. Which-
There's
That's
my
Brad's.
piece of shit.
And bury the lead. What am I writing a song about this season?
Wade is writing about Bury the Lead.
Nice.
Ooh,
Nice.
good
Happy, fast, bearing of a lead. Okay.
Clarify.
All right.
Clarify, bury the lead.
So, say a baseball player hit 8 home runs in one game, and then you're going to listen to your favorite source for baseball news, and they start talking about some guy who only hit 7 home runs in one game. They have buried the lead because that's not the biggest story of the night. Should have been something else.
Gotcha.
To which somebody would say, man, you kind of buried the lead on that, huh?
Yeah. I might need your help for some news stories on
I
this.
got you. Special criteria, Wade. What kind of things are we looking at there?
Wait, can we trade up and trade like this is a draft?
I notice how all of a
Sports
sudden
draft.
when it gets to you, you
Right?
want to trade up and you have the best
Yeah,
lot going.
Wade plays a lot of Calvin
Can
ball.
I?
with this.
Can I trade for glamping?
I feel
Yeah.
like I
Um,
could do a good job with glamping.
$1 and a trade to be determined.
right.
Okay, what are we doing here?
Special criteria.
Special criteria. So these are elements that have to be included in your song, such as one part of the song being sung,
Songed.
Sanged.
Sang.
a cappella.
Ooh.
Or beatbox, like Brad will be bringing us. Okay.
You mean mouth drums?
South of yeah, yes. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to clarify. Beatboxing is mouth
Oh,
drums.
the mouth drum
Right.
beatboxing.
Right? So,
And
ba-boom, 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 ba-boom.
and honestly, BSers, where are you getting this kind of content elsewhere?
Yeah. There's tens of thousands of podcasts you could be listening to, but you're right here with us.
How many of them
Somebody,
beatbox for
somebody
you?
on another podcast somewhere is talking about mouth drums, and somebody's going, "You mean beatboxing?"
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
Joe
Just
Rogan's
to
talking about
clarify.
that.
With your mouth.
Just to clarify, you're beatboxing. Yeah.
Orchestral arrangement with at least 4 instruments, such as a bassoon
Ooh.
or a clavinet. Is that a thing?
Clavicle?
It's a
A clavicle?
A musical round,
Uh-huh.
reprise, spoken word, 2 bass lines, jazz drum setup, no cymbals, the use of a vocoder, or either of these 3 for a user's choice element: whistling, harmonica, kazoo, or vibroslap.
Bonus
Let me
points for all
pause.
4.
Yeah, let me pause you right there because we've asked this of our other people. What are you aiming for here, Wade? What are you hoping to draw?
Ooh.
You're feeling pretty comfortable.
Let me see. I've
What's
been
going to
wanting
really round this out?
I've been wanting to do an orchestral arrangement song, but I don't think the happy burying the lead song. I feel like burying the lead song might. Man, I might want some of this vibroslap. or
Yeah, that's
some
good to hear.
kazoo.
That's good to hear.
Okay.
So, and I feel like you can't just use. I mean, you should if you're going to use a vibroslap in a song or even an entire album. It should only be used once.
Oh yeah,
But, but for an ingredient song, I don't know. I might just vibroslap the whole thing.
Might just be might be the instrument.
Just be the whole thing, right?
Makes
I'm
sense.
gonna vibra slap the whole thing.
Maybe do it with my mouth.
Are you curious? In my
The whole
hand, I'm holding
Oh, my special criteria.
what your special criteria is.
Lay it on me.
And if I do know what it is as well. Ooh.
Oh, that's gonna sting.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Is the vocoder, Wade.
Oh, so me and Chad using the
You guys are
vocoder.
vocoding.
I think I have a song with a vocoder. Pretty sure.
I'm
Brad
gonna
and I,
kick a
we
little
have.
ass.
Yeah, we have Drug Bus, but that
Yeah.
was you on the vocoder.
It was me on the vocoder.
Not me.
You're going to like the vocoder. I guarantee it.
I only have plugins, but I'll figure something out.
You need a vocoder?
Might have to borrow yours,
borrow
but I'm
your-
pretty sure I have some instances of
Okay.
things.
Okay.
So, Brad, there's this cool, or everybody, there's this cool program that is in beta testing. It has been for a while called Imitone.
Imitone.
I am something, I don't know.
A tone.
Imitone. But the premise behind it is it turns your voice into any instrument.
Okay.
Like a MIDI controller by
Yeah.
your voice.
But yeah, exactly. So maybe I'll have to bust that out for
That's
this.
pretty sweet.
That does sound
I like
cool.
where your head's at.
Okay, now on to Brad's favorite special items and the choices
What
this
could
season.
possibly be in there?
A broom, a
Ooh.
little sweep in action, a kitchen or laundry appliance.
Yeesh.
I think of some sounds coming to mind there. An ice cube, and I was
O'Shea
hoping
Jackson.
toothbrush, fruit, a rubber hose, which Chad's figured out how to work on, a fork, Brad's favorite pliers.
Pliers.
Brad's working on pliers.
I got
I
pliers.
feel I sense some indignation.
I
in his voice
got,
there.
just for the listeners, if you want to recap, I got dog shit this year.
A chair, Brad. You're sitting in a chair.
I'm sitting in a chair.
You give us an example of what you might do with the chair this season. Should you get it?
No. I don't know what to do with a chair. What am I going to do
In
with a
past years,
chair?
Brad has gotten a bathtub,
Uh-huh.
which I don't remember you being too fond of.
Didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
An aluminum can.
Yeah.
Which
Brad,
was
could you-
harder?
Could you recap?
Bathtub is harder.
Could you recap the issue with the special instruments in the past?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the creative use of them, right? So obviously there's a stress to not use them how you think it should be used,
Yeah.
and that builds up into something that makes it harder than it should be. And when it's a fucking bathtub,
Yeah.
you get a little irritated after
Yeah,
a while,
yeah.
which is what was happening to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how the fuck can I creatively use a bathtub? So eventually I just turned the water on in it and called it a day.
Fulfilled his
I did.
criteria there.
And the can I wrinkled, and we put some delay on it, and that was the end of a song that was getting really messy. Anyway.
And to round out this category, a shoe, which I think our listeners got, and paper.
Paper, papier.
Papier.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I have yours in my hand.
all right, let's round out this.
Bring it
piece
home.
here. Yep,
Bring
let's
it
I'm
home.
opening it. Patrick, what is the name of the fella?
O'Shea Jackson. Is that who we're talking about?
Jackson is exactly what we got. It's an ice cube, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, I was
Yep.
hoping to get that one.
Yep. What kind of ideas are you working with on the ice
It's a
cube?
secret, but I already know. I already
You
know.
can't just sample him.
What?
Okay. Nice.
we'll
All right,
see.
we got one.
I could
What I'm-
twist the tray.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
twist the tray.
So this is
Yeah.
an honest,
You could clank a
an,
glass, right? You could
Oh, yeah,
dump
yeah,
it into a
good.
glass.
an honest thing I'd like to hear you at least try is the cracking sound of when you drop an ice cube in
Water.
a different temperature
Hot
liquid.
water,
It just
yeah.
Ooh,
cracks,
okay,
yeah.
No, I got an idea.
I like that.
So to recap, what I'm gonna get to work on here as soon as we jump to the future is a happy song, over 130 beats per minute,
That's what they say.
using a vocoder and utilizing an ice cube in some way, about burying the lead. So that's it. That's my ingredient song to work on this year. I'm not thrilled about my theme.
I like that.
Yeah, I know.
No, I think that's going to generate some good lyric.
I don't know what I would do with that, this is just me speaking out loud. I don't know if this is legal or not, but I would just write a song where you bury the lead.
Thank you.
You don't talk about burying the lead.
Mute.
So you actually bury the lead.
You never
all
find
the
out.
solos.
Yeah,
Right.
all the solos go
Are
way
muted.
behind.
So basically,
So you're going to have like a 4-bar measure, right? But instead of just a ripping solo that's really loud, your rhythm guitar goes up and the solo is really quiet.
I like the idea of writing a song about whatever I want, and then you never find out what this song would have been.
What's the best song? Yeah, I could have written the best song,
Exactly.
but I didn't.
But I wrote this one instead.
Yeah, you're going to write
got
it
the easiest
about,
one.
Yeah.
Anything I want.
If it were me, I'd be, you would call the song A Murder, and then it would just be about two people meeting.
Right.
You bury
Yeah.
the lead.
Be like, the local drugstore got a new park bench
Right.
put out front.
But also,
More news at 6.
there's clones.
Right.
yeah,
Pushing for the clone.
and their prescriptions get mixed up.
All right. So anyway, yeah, you got a lot to work with there.
Yeah, it's
Can I get a clamping idea?
We've already given you
We handed it to you.
All right, BSers. We're going to jump to the future. When we come back, we'll listen to this banger about burying the lead. Set course. To the future! Okay, we're back. And it's ingredient time song time. Shit, what did I just say?
Ingredient song time.
It's ingredient song time song.
Song ingredients.
Welcome to Belonging Songs again back. All right, we're coming at you from Chad's house today on the B team setup for the recording rig, my very old interface, but it's still kicking. Everything worked perfectly today on
Fast.
setup, which
Fast too.
which I'm a little worried about. So we're going to have to get this in before anything catastrophic happens, because that's definitely a first with the B rig.
Really, with any rig.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, with the A rig. So, here to talk about my ingredient song. What's going on, Brad?
Just having fun.
Okay.
Trying to wrap this thing.
Brad's playing with his microphone.
Trying to make some noise.
So I don't have a name for this song yet, because I just finished writing the lyrics and laying down this demo this morning.
Ooh.
I
Buried the lead.
So that was my theme, if you remember, buried the lead. And Brad, the day of the ingredient song drawing, went home and basically wrote his entire song. No big deal.
I don't know what you were doing
Well,
all this time.
very shortly after we did the drawings, I did get the melody in my head. So the chorus melody came to me in some of the lyrics, not all of them, but I had that melody. And
You were crushing it too. crushed it.
that was like a while ago. Right? So-
But you had it.
yeah, I had something.
Yeah.
And that's what I built off of. So I built the entire track, the music, off of that melody that came to me in my head on guitar. And
And it
this
sat there while you came up with 14 pages of lyrics.
It sat there until today when I
Farther
finished
than I am.
most of these lyrics. An interesting thing about this song is that halfway through it switches to and is built off another melody that also came to me separately. When I started to form the story for this, then I got another melody in my head. They were separate things. This was before I even built the track. So this is like a conglomeration of two separate ideas that I built the track around. And at that point, I had an idea of what I kind of wanted this to be about, but it didn't come together until today, which is at least a month later.
Okay.
So, and this is also a very raw demo. Like, I recorded this to a click track. There's only guitar and my vocals, because this is going to be a fun opportunity to do what we've said we wanted to do, kind of, where Chad's going to drum to this, and then I'm going to re-record everything else. Like, none of this that we're going to hear right now is going to...
Chad's going to get his wish.
Yeah, so I'm going to redo all of this.
He's going to do it for real. Go first.
A true demo.
Yeah.
So it should change a lot. And none of the bells and whistles, none of the fun stuff from the drawing has made it in yet. Like my vocoder. But I can tell you that some of these lyrics are going to get
Vocoded.
vocoded. And you'll be
Yeah.
able to kind of tell and picture that.
Yeah.
Just by the
Way they're
song
sung.
arrangement. Yeah.
Okay.
What were
Obviously-
your other parameters?
What's that?
What were your other parameters?
I needed to use an ice cube, and that's clearly not in yet either. But
Well,
I do have an idea for
contacted his agent.
that. Right, not yet.
Speed?
130 plus,
That's not, it's doable.
which I did, and then it switches. So I do have a time change in here, and it goes down, but then it comes back up.
Okay.
Now, the song I got is a happy tone. I don't know if I hit that. I might have failed on that.
The happy.
I think some of it, some of it, because it's 130, it's kind of hard to not be
I
upbeat.
feel you. That's what I had the same problem.
But I might have failed on the overall happy tone. But we'll talk about that afterwards.
Wait, do you think 130 was hard to do happy because it's too slow to be happy?
No,
Okay.
I think
It's fast.
it's fast.
Yeah.
And that's why I said some of it's kind of up. It is up tempo.
Got it.
And
But you were supposed to be happy.
it's supposed to be happy.
That should
and
be easy.
I think I might have failed.
It's because you touched toward it.
It comes out angry.
Yeah, because mine
No,
was...
no. It's more of a somber thing.
Because mine
but-
was supposed to be sad, and I had a hard time because it was
And yours was really
130,
like-
And I was like, fuck. Yeah, I know. I'm like, damn it.
Oh well.
Please cry.
Like we said, these are always a jumping off point. And,
Yeah. No, that's good.
yeah.
Let's give it a go.
talk about it, and then maybe we can come up
Yeah.
with a title.
Hell yeah.
Right now, it's titled Wade, Season 3, Ingredient Song. They said they couldn't save me, not using modern technology. Said it would take a miracle, then the perfect donor showed. You buried the lead when you first met me and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe when you said you weren't afraid. Said you could handle the pain. You buried the lead when you first met me and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe when you said you weren't afraid. Said you could handle the pain. They said it would kill you, but you said it wouldn't last. The sentiment was familiar, like it would work, but you were left lifeless. Suddenly felt I knew you, like it was something from the past. Like a dream is peculiar, with scenes all blurred through old glass. You buried the lead when you first met me and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe when you said you weren't afraid. Said you could handle the pain. You buried the lead when you first met me and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe when you said you weren't afraid. Said you could handle the pain. Suddenly felt I knew you, like it was something from the past. Like a dream is peculiar, with scenes all blurred through old glass. You didn't tell me you're from the future. You didn't tell me I'm going back. You didn't tell me you're from the future. You didn't tell me about that. How many times have I given me another chance? How many times until I say alright, this must end? You didn't tell me you're from the future. You didn't tell me I'm going back. You didn't tell me you're from the future. You didn't tell me about that. You buried the lead when you first met me. You already knew we'd pull through. You buried the lead When you first met me, you already knew it for sure. When you said you weren't afraid, said you could handle the pain. You buried the lead when you first met me and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe it. When you said you weren't afraid, said you could handle the pain. You already knew it for sure. All right. So that's that. These lyrics probably need some finessing as I go, but I'm curious to hear what you think about the story and take a stab at the theme and all that.
I'm having a hard time with it.
Okay.
I was reading it. I was like, I'm not real sure. Like, it doesn't mean I don't feel something when it's sung. Lyrics to me sometimes they're about just like the one line I have something in common with, and then that's the emotion. That happens a few times in this song, that means it's like it's there,
working.
It's ready to harvest. Yeah, I'm not real sure what it's about. Today I was listening to a podcast of music. I don't remember what it was. It was Song Exploder, actually.
Okay.
And it was Maren Morris, who, whatever, country girl. Yeah. It was the next episode.
Right.
And she talked about in her new song, she took a part of the chorus and made it a bridge with the same lyrics. And she's like, I swear I wasn't being lazy. That's just what the song needed. And then you did it.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
That was pretty cool.
Because I approached this having trouble writing. Like I said, I came up with that melody and then couldn't get anything else. Mm-hmm. And last time we were playing tennis, I was listening to this song. It's got like millions of hits, and it's basically just the same thing over and over again.
That's accurate.
And then I was listening to more songs. I'm like, people just say this like
the same
two
shit.
lines over and over again. And so that's how I approached it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to repeat stuff.
But honestly, I like it in this song because it has more value than it does on like some of those cheesy pop songs. Like, it actually slows it down so you can like feel it a little different. Yeah. But the words are the same, so I like that about it. Hopefully that's
cool.
Whatever I'm saying is coming across, making sense. Okay.
Chad, you want to take a stab at the story?
That's what I was trying to read through it. And I mean, is it one of those things that's way obvious right in front of you? Is it about
somebody's dead?
Is it about an organ donation?
Right? I mean, somebody's dead. I've got that.
Yeah.
Right? I've got that.
Their organs went, and the person, obviously, it looks like they're having some kind of connection mentally through the organ, whether it be
could potentially be two
heart
people
or something, but they're feeling something.
Right. Is that what it is? Maybe Chad and I are putting it together.
You're getting close.
Somebody died. Somebody got some organs.
There's a very obvious on the head aspect of this
the person that died buried the lead when they first met the person that they gave the organ to.
By saying it. Because it's no big deal.
They are the same person. I didn't get time travel.
I didn't either.
Okay.
I didn't either.
Hang on. How do you donate an organ to your future self?
You didn't tell me you're from the future. Yeah.
But it's you. It's me. What if the us's then knew? One of these days I'm going to know what that line is and I'm going to say it.
It's funny because you said that. I don't know. You might have said it earlier in this episode or some episode.
Probably.
Yeah, so this is a time travel story.
Okay.
The person...
Oh, that was your theme, wasn't it?
No,
his was burying the lead.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I originally tried to approach this as part of the Trailblazin
Modern
Signals.
technology.
Well, Trailblazin and Signals are like based on the same character.
Yeah.
And I originally tried to write this as like that character in Signals after Trailblazing blasts off into space, whatever, and finds a way to time travel back into time to prevent what happens in Trailblazing.
Mm-hmm.
But it came down to more of a localized story where this person travels back in time to save themselves from an ailment from the future. And then, so the line's like, how many times have I given me another chance? And then if you do that, you think about getting stuck in this loop. Like, how many times are you going to redo this?
Yeah.
Like, what are we trying to accomplish type of here? So more of an analogy on just like
aging.
life. Aging.
Right.
Yeah.
Letting it happen.
Right.
Don't change.
I don't know if that
The inevitable.
didn't really hit the mark.
It
but
doesn't, but I mean, I guess it got us close enough where Chad and I were able to piece it together
Somewhat.
with some serious detective work.
And to be honest, the time travel aspect started to come in because I got vocoder, and I'm like, well, it's going to be like space
Gotta
noises
have
and
space
shit.
yeah.
So
It actually didn't pick
in your
up.
ingredient song from last season influenced too, because you had basically you had time travel,
did have it,
and
yeah.
I kept picturing at the end of your song, what's that song called? Through But Nothing.
Yep.
The character like
Disintegrating.
dematerializes off into who knows where.
Like Scotty
So
beamed him up.
I almost used that character as a jumping off
Oh,
point.
yeah,
After I had the
ooh.
idea to use my character, I was like, well, that's not working.
That character.
Then I
would've been
used,
good.
so I used your
Yeah, I
song.
would have sold you the rights.
Yeah. And I did call back like I did in Modern Technology. I said trailblazing. That's my thing now.
Yeah.
So in this ingredient song, I said Modern
So
Technology.
Every ingredient song
So
mentions
I'm gonna call
another
back,
song.
yeah.
So the only other thing I was thinking, because when you were saving you mentioned what your song's called for your working title.
Wade's season 3 ingredient song.
Yeah, which I do that. So I think we need titles to be a category when we draw.
Like,
so we can draw titles.
You know, I took a whole class in school just called writing from the title. So it's a legit thing. So we should do that.
We should do that.
That might even be like a separate exercise we could do where
Yeah, maybe a single writing from the
Where
title.
just the title,
We
yeah.
should do that because it happens in Pro Tools a lot where it makes you call the song something before you start the session.
Well, yeah.
And so I only write from the title typically. It's like, I'll be driving and I'll be like, oh, that's cool title. Then the next session I open, that's what I call it. And then I write the song about that typically.
Yeah, we should plan on doing that in the future.
Yeah. Anyway,
so-
insider baseball, but
It's funny you mentioned switching parts too, because this is a lot of copy and paste. Like I got one part and then I was like, okay, I know this is going to be a demo. So I would just like cut and paste. And the intro of this, which I'm not sold on, I don't know if I even like it. It was one part after. What is now like the first verse was the intro. And then that intro part was the music playing where the first verse is in this demo. And I was like, well, that part doesn't come back anywhere else. So I put it at the beginning as the intro and swapped those two. But it's just because you had mentioned that in that Song's Blur that that girl was doing that. So I did that. And that part, the intro part does work better as an intro because it doesn't come back anywhere else.
yeah.
And the riff right after it where I'm singing the verse does. And that for an arrangement purpose works way better to have the intro separate. And like I could put more instrumentation on it. And there's not because that happened so late. That was like I had some of the lyrics. I didn't have the lyrics for the beginning. I just had that chorus part was in my head and I had to kind of build around that. So I was able to like switch those around. And
I like that. I also really like the gap in between
where it slows down.
the fast and when it slows down. You got a lot of like stuff going there. Like that's worth saving. Like, that's pretty cool to let it kind of swirl together.
Those are Echo Boy plugin stuff that I can like take that setting that's already on there and put it on.
But I think it'd be cool when the drums happen, like to let that happen because
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on just a straight demo. Like when you're listening to something like that, Chad, do you like start hearing drums right away?
I do. I mean, obviously you have a rhythm going into your strum and you're playing and stuff. So, whether you're using eighth notes or whatever, plus, a fast speed and you want a happy sounding song. So that's odd, right off the bat, just kind of a shuffle, an upbeat shuffle type thing. The tempo change will be easy. It fits. I thought it was good. I thought it sounded good. Just the difference between the two and then going back towards the end.
So like interesting, like you always bring in a drum beat to play to. This one I just was straight.
I was starting to think about trying to do a similar thing or just removing it before I give it to you, just so you don't have like there's not an implication, unless it's like
sometimes
what I want.
It's something you guys want.
Like if it's something I'm like,
sometimes
okay,
it's helpful
this is
if
an
like
important part of the song for me.
Right.
I'll tell you, but I think to try to do what you had mentioned before, Chad, like try to write from the beginning. I think it would be cool to have that song where you don't have all the bells and whistles in yet. You start from the drums, and then you build the song around that.
And when you guys have a part like that you really feel passionate about,
go for it.
I take it into
You
consideration.
do. Yeah.
You know,
And you build
I
your
think
part
about it.
around that. You put your stuff on that.
I think about doing it at
Yeah.
all.
Okay. Real Chad's coming out on the podcast a little bit.
So that'll be fun to get Chad's drums down as the bass. And then, like I said, all this is going to get re-recorded.
Yeah, it's sweet.
And I don't know if I will keep a lot of the lead melody guitar because the reason they're there was I wrote them
to
as the
sing the
vocal
melody?
line.
Yeah.
Like, that's the melody I had. So before I had all the lyrics, I just played the vocal melody on the guitar that I had in my head. Mm-hmm. I think some of them will probably be cool to, run alongside the vocals like that. In that bridge part, I ended up changing the melody for the vocals and keeping the line different for the guitar. So then there's a difference there. So some stuff like that will stay. But
As far as keeping it happy, I think we can do that.
well, like I said, I think I failed on that.
I don't
It
think
doesn't
some of the
need to be-
rhythms will pick
now that the
some of
song
it up.
is written and it has its own tone, I'm not married to the ingredient of it happy. I want it to now fit, what the song's got going.
We can steer them that way, in that direction.
Yeah.
So did the guy did you take your old self to the future? Or did the guy come back from the future?
He went back
And
into
sacrificed
the past,
himself.
killed himself so the
Sacrificed
past could
himself.
have his organs.
So we don't know what happened in the future that caused that. Did he live his whole life or did something happen? He knew that there was going to be this episode earlier in his life where he could either
But he
die.
fucking lived, man.
I know. I know. We're getting into a paradox.
If he
here.
was
like,
that
so-
old, he was still healthy
so-
enough to donate
Yeah.
the organs.
Yeah, but I mean...
But at least one time he must have lived, right?
Yeah, to be old in the future.
He wouldn't
I
be
don't
there.
know. But would he have?
But I guess, I mean...
if he came back with chicken or egg situation,
does he always
you know?
come back? He just always came back.
Right. Well, that's why it's like, how many times are we going to do this?
So he's like, oh, fuck, I got to go back
is
to
there-
donate my organs.
Every
is this
time.
a quantum leap situation?
Every
Or
time.
something that
or
needs to
you're-
be
you're
fixed?
screwed.
But
The
how does
character,
he ever get to be that old to
the
begin
character
with?
doesn't realize this has happened
No.
until they get older. You know?
When he's done, he can always just go back and kill that one. And
I think you got to make it apparent.
that'd
So
be
the
it.
person-
I think a parent has to come
The
back.
person comes back, saves their own life.
Or a son.
Then the person
Ooh.
that was
that's
saved,
what needs to happen.
it could be that.
It needs to be a son.
It can be that.
Son saves the dad.
But that's why there's that familiarity. And
Having a hard time with it being the same person.
and then they don't find out until they get older because they become that person.
And they're like,
And then they realize whatever they encounter in the future, there's now time travel available.
oh, shit.
They're like, well, I got to go back.
Yeah, shit.
But
Have
do
you ever
they?
seen the
But they
Rick and
do.
Morty with all the clones?
Huh?
Have
Yeah.
you ever seen the Rick and Morty with all the clones?
No.
That'll
messy.
explain everything.
It's real messy on the time travel.
Do you think I need to work on this more or just let it be what it is?
I think we're having a discussion about it, and that's
Okay.
what the songs are all about. So
I like the
you can
paradox
leave,
of it
you
being
can
the
leave
same
it.
person because,
you're talking to the guy that loves to leave it vague.
right.
So leave it vague.
I
I'm
think
just,
your
I'm just
idea is
messing with
good.
you because I'm having a hard time with the guy from the future coming back and donating
There's
himself
a lot
his
to the
organs.
story
'Cause
that's
he lived.
unexplained.
Yeah. But because he got the organs.
From a guy that lived.
Right.
So I would just, how bad could it must have been really bad, right? Like what happened to the guy after he needed the organs must have been terrible. Like he got a foul organ.
What if he's a clone, like Chad said, from the
Could've been a
future, and
clone.
then he comes back?
Could have been the clone.
But then the timeline's changed. He grows up. And he's like, oh, shit, that was me.
I
And he's like, I got to go back
and do it again, or he breaks the chain and dies.
or I'm going to die.
like,
Anything. It could be any number of things that
So
have happened.
that's why the
to
guy
cause
says,
it.
"How many times has this gone on?" Because he
Exactly.
doesn't know. It could have been infinites, Erebus.
I don't understand time travel.
I just watched Back to the Future like 2 weeks ago.
I don't understand cloning.
No, then get Chuckers.
I don't understand cloning with time
We're going to
travel.
send Brad out there.
Yeah, you're gonna that spaghetti eating asshole's gonna explain time travel
Are
to
they
me.
out
asshole.
there? All right, tell him Brad will be out there in a bit. Anyway,
He's putting this last nail into the wooden time machine he's building.
the time machine soapbox racer. Him and Chuckers get their goggles on.
We gotta get it
Down
up to
the-
88, Chuck.
And like we did with, what did we do that with? Some song past. Patrick's not here, but I'll send this to him. So when we
yeah.
do the revisit, he'll have thoughts
It was
when
my
we come
song,
back.
wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it
Awesome.
was.
Yeah.
So
This
we're
is
gonna.
good. This is a good start.
Yeah. So this is gonna change a lot, and I'm excited to.
I like that part of it too. Naturally,
the
a
reason
lot of them are the same, but a lot of lyrics.
normally I like to get them a little farther along,
I
but
think demos are acceptable. Probably a more fun listen too when you hear them all the way through.
plus it gives me something to work on.
Yeah, I like it.
Get it rolling. So we
Sweet.
need that. So all right, we're gonna jump to the future, Brad.
Boom.
Brad, we're gonna jump to the future. Are you cool with that? You know what's gonna happen?
Did myself from the future come back here and give me something
What if
that I need now that I don't have?
shit! It's Brad.
Listen to this dude, Brad. He knows what he's talking about.
Set course. To the future! Welcome back, BSers, and welcome back, Patrick.
Yeah.
I'm here.
And
Not in robot form.
And good riddance to Brad. He's not here.
Yeah. Finally. Finally, we can talk and be honest with one another.
Yep. So Chad and I in the studio, Patrick via Zoom, Brad, who knows what he's doing? Could be anything. Probably practicing his tennis so he can beat us. What are we talking about?
Tennis.
Wait, did I bury the lead on something? That's what we're talking about.
I think we're talking about burying the lead.
Yeah, so I think I've settled on just calling the song Buried the Lead. I think that makes sense. And I think that's what we're going to roll with. The last time we listened to it over at Chad's house, it was a very raw demo that kind of knew everything was going to get re-recorded on. The plan was to get Chad over to put drums on it, but we had a busy week, or it's been only like a week or two since then, and we didn't have time to do that. So I just mapped electronic drums to it and then finished the song that way because we're recording Friday. This episode's coming out Sunday. I'm going to be gone for the weekend. I'm going to be editing and mixing this episode in the car, and I've been fighting.
Where are you going?
We are going up to family party up north Michigan, Gaylord.
Up north Michigan.
Yep, the great north. It's probably snowing, even though it's July.
There won't be bugs up there. Don't worry about it.
There most certainly will be.
It's going to be all bugs. Bugs run the town. They're the mayor of the town.
Yep. So yeah, I've been fighting to get this song done this week, and like I said, did a whole re-record. But before we listened to it, I had sent the demo that you and I listened to, Chad, over at your house, to Patrick because I wanted to get his thoughts before we jump into the re-record to hear what he thought about the demo.
I don't have a ton of notes. A couple things that really stuck out to me. So, one, you're probably not going to be surprised to hear me say that I really like the tempo change right around the 2-minute mark, I think is where it happens. I almost think, and I know it's way too late to mention this, but I think that part of the song almost holds itself as like a complete song.
Yeah, it does kind of switch to a whole different thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, you do that a lot, but in this case, that just really stood out to me more so than a lot of other songs. I really liked the flow of that section in particular. And then when it picks back up, I think it's around the 340 mark, it makes a lot of sense and a rational conclusion to the song.
Mm-hmm.
So if you clipped those two parts together and that was it, I'd be really happy. The first part of the song to me still in the mix that I've heard, and this is, before you've gone through and tweaked it, sounded a little disconnected from the rest of the song. So I'm hoping that blends together a little bit more, just in vibe, in completeness, I guess.
On.
So those are really the only notes I have, other than I really struggled, and we'll save this till after we hear the song, to figure out what exactly this song's about.
Okay. I definitely
so
wanted to ask you that. Take a stab at it. What do you?
Well, I got a couple images in my head. One of them,
before you do, this is one that I think I've thought about because I'll let you know that was the case with Brad and Chad too.
We discussed it as well,
and I think I've come to the conclusion. I kind of knew it was vague, but you had mentioned you're going to see Eraserhead after we podcast, And I kind of feel like this is a David Lynch version of a song in that it makes sense to me. I'm okay with people having to re-listen to it a bunch and form their own idea about what it is about. Sorry to interrupt your thought there, but so
no, I'm glad to hear that. And we've talked about this before. I don't need a song to tell a obvious expose into a story. In fact, usually I prefer a little poetic interpretation or artistic interpretation, but usually I'm pretty good at least getting the vibe of all of our songs. This had a couple things. One was kind of an initial literal interpretation, which was like death and an organ donation, and maybe it's the donor telling the story, and it was a stranger who was trying to save this life, right? That's just where my mind went. And then the other thing was more of sort of this ethereal relationship, like almost a memory, a relationship with a memory, or thinking about an imagined state that isn't true. I mean, it's really vague in my head, and I listened to this cut probably, I don't know, 5 times yesterday with the lyrics opened up, because the lyrics also, the music doesn't cue me in anymore to what it's about. So that's just more of a footnote that I sort of struggled with that, but I think it was kind of fun to sort of struggle with that.
The demo version was more kind of downtrodden feeling in my, I actually drew happy for the ingredient. And I think I've landed more on the happy side with my finished version in the re-record. And hopefully I've been able to tie the two musical elements together better than in the demo. I feel like we've almost fallen into a pattern of having to have such a concrete theme and be able to explain it as part of the show, you know, where I feel like a song like this is something we've gotten away from a little bit, of like a more vague. Brad definitely does more of a vague storyline or theme in some of his songs, to where I feel like I've fallen into more of a very straightforward storytelling type
I don't
of
think
thing.
I'd agree with that. I actually don't think I'd agree with that. I think it depends on kind of the season or maybe the phases that you guys are writing songs in, because I think you both switch on and off.
Okay.
But you know, I will say sometimes lyrics can just be lyrics, right? They can just be an instrument. Mike Patton talks about that all the time, how Faith No More's songs don't make any sense because he's just going for the sound and the emotion that these lyrics evoke. And that's okay sometimes too.
Right. Do you want me to tell you what these mean, or do you want to do it afterwards?
Let's do it afterwards, after I hear, because I'll take another stab at it, maybe, after I hear the final mix.
Okay. You guys want to listen to that now then?
Sure.
Unless you wanted to talk about these elements beforehand.
No, I think we're going to want to hit those afterwards. So let's give this.
This is good. This is good podcasting right here.
We're out of practice. It's been a little while. So it's been a little Dave Mustained.
It's been a while.
All right. So yeah, settled on the title, buried the lead. This is the re-record and the mix. Let's give it a listen. Patrick, let me know when you are ready to listen so we can kind of sync up here.
Which, by the way, as a side note, perfect title for me not being able to nail what it's about, right?
Or me being able to, or having it come through with just a first listen. Yeah. So maybe that is appropriate. You ready? All right, here we go.
Here we go.
You better
felt I knew you, like it was something from the past. Like a dream is peculiar, with scenes all blurred through old glass. You buried the lead when you first met me, and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe when you said you weren't afraid. Said you could handle the pain. You buried the lead when you first met me, and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe when you said you weren't afraid. Said you could handle the pain. Suddenly felt I knew you, like it was something from the past. Like a dream is peculiar, with scenes all blurred through a glass. You didn't tell me you're from the future. You didn't tell me I'm going back. You didn't tell me you're from the future. You didn't tell me about that. How many times have I given me another chance? How many times till I say, alright, this must end? You didn't tell me you're from the future. You didn't tell me I'm going back. You didn't tell me I'm from the future. You didn't tell me you're going back. You buried the lead when you first met me. You already knew we'd pull through. You buried the lead when you first met me. You already knew it for sure. When you said you weren't afraid, said you could handle the pain. You buried the lead when you first met me, and said your courage was nothing, so I couldn't believe when you said you weren't afraid. Said you could handle the pain. You already knew it for sure. All right.
Well, that's more complete, Jam.
Yeah.
Right.
The only other guess I have, I mean, I don't know how many guesses I get, is that this is a conversation with yourself and reflecting back on the past. And that's all I've got.
That's in the ballpark.
Yeah, well, at least we're close in the park, but am I in like the urinals or am I on the field?
Well, this is a classic time travel story.
Classic, total classic.
So, in this story, the person who is donating the organ at the beginning is the same person from the future. So we've got a time loop going on here. And that's why they knew that they could handle the pain, because they've already done it before.
So basically, between my three guesses, I got 65% there.
Yeah, you're getting there. But see, this is one of those songs where I do want people to like listen to and like maybe not. You have to think about it, and it really does. It'll start to fall apart because there's a paradox in there. Because as Brad pointed out, well, how did the person get old in the first place to allow them to go back in time?
Because the organ donation, you dummy, Brad.
Exactly, right? But we don't know. Maybe that person's consciousness somehow was uploaded into a mainframe and aliens figured it out how to like take that and recreate his body or something. And then he went back in time.
I'd like 2 more takes on this song. So get back to the studio so I can get to 95%.
Okay. Cyborgs.
It's always cyborgs.
The idea was out there, and I had told these guys I tried tying this into a song trilogy with Trailblazing and Signals, because those are based on the same character. The initial spark was like, okay, at the end of Signals, that character blasted it off into space. What if he came back to stop the events that happened in Trailblazing? And then that got way too crazy, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And then I localized that down to what if it's just one person that comes back to save themselves?
That's the stage in your career where you start peeing in jugs and keeping them on your fridge.
And I used Brad's ingredient song character from Through But Nothing, who is the time traveler, was kind of the inspiration for this. So, yeah, the idea is kind of out there, but...
Are you sure you weren't the one who was on Nitrous yesterday?
No.
Okay.
Totally redid every element of that.
This is way, way, way more cohesive of a song. And obviously the first thing I heard was a demo, so I wasn't expecting spit and polish, but you totally took care of my concern with the first part of the song sort of dangling out there. I still love the transition and still love, like, we'll call it the second half of the song, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But now I don't think it would stand on its own as well. It needs the first part and the second part. I'm having a hard time with this because for some reason my monitor isn't working, so I have to listen to it through my laptop.
Oh.
So I'm not getting a lot of nuances, so I probably won't have anything that deep to say about the production, but I'll listen to this. Like, I'll give it a car listen.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad that I won't have anything to say on the air, but just from a general listen through shitty speakers, sorry, Apple.
Not a sponsor.
It just sounds rounded and fully fleshed out as a song. I think you did a really good job, now that I hear what it's about, kind of capturing the moment of kind of this up-tempo, kind of wonky tale, right? Mm-hmm. That ultimately, I guess, has a happy ending.
Kind of, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in this song. So if you recall, my required instrument was a vocoder. And I initially thought that I would do some of those slow parts like straight vocoder, but it just got too disconnected.
Well, because vocoders are from the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which fit this, and that did help steer me in the direction of this song, by the way. But there is a lot of vocoding going on. I just used it in the background, and I've got a couple examples here so you can really hear what's happening on some of these parts. One of them here labeled Vocoder 2 in your folder there, Patrick. This is
actually called Vocoder Example 2.
Yeah, so in the choruses, the second half of the choruses, you hear this like kind of floaty blah, 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 thing come in.
Synth, yeah.
And that's actually a vocoder acting on some vocals that I copy and pasted from the chorus and put a vocoder on and then tucked into the mix. So here's an example of what that sounds like on its own. You buried the lead when you first met me, said you buried was nothing, so I couldn't believe. So vocoder example 1 there is happening in the second half of the chorus and some other parts, especially at the beginning when I say modern technology and a couple other parts throughout the song. That's a piece of main vocal that I copied and pasted down and then affected with a vocoder and then mixed into those parts. And then number 2 example. You buried the lead when you first met me. You already knew we'd pull through. Happens during that, the big part at the end of the slow part, right before the end of the song, when it goes back to the chorus.
I was going to ask you if it was a magic chord. That's what it sounds like. The magic chords that come on the keyboards and organs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's basically like a vocoder is, just kind of...
Yeah. How many times did Akon or the Black Eyed Peas call you after you were laying down these tracks?
I think they use auto-tune, mostly. But this kind of has that feel to it. Also, all the background vocals are affected really crazily. And you don't notice it because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the song. But if you listen to this BVX example, we're going to talk about this later when we go bus riding, which we haven't done this season. I really affected these background vocals with some crazy formant pitch shift effects. Here's what they sound like. You buried the lead when you first met me. You already knew we'd fall through.
That's wild.
And they all the background vocals have those.
It almost sounds like a choral effect that's been pitch shifted. That's cool. I like that.
We might as well get our tickets and get on the bus.
The bus is here. It's been waiting for us.
Get in, losers. We're doing bus stuff.
So first bus ride of the season, we're going to run down the background vocal bus. So I had 4 background vocal tracks that I sang and sent to the one sub-track, and I'm affecting them globally. And the first thing I'm doing is really highly compressing them, just so they are really tight and I can just kind of pinpoint them in the mix. It takes a lot of the dynamic range out of them when I compress them that hard, but it allows you to really kind of fit them in wherever you want in the mix because they're really tight dynamically wise. And then I'm using a plugin by Waves called Little Alter Boy, and it's a pitch shifter. What I've done is I've put 2 of them in succession, and the first instance is pitched up 3 formants, so it gives you a weird high-pitched sound. And then the second instance of the plugin, I've pitched down 3 formants. And with them both, it gives you that choral sound. If you just put one on there, it sounds super weird. But when you balance them out with the 2 versions pitched opposite of each other, it gives you that full chorus effect, which was really cool.
It's wild, though. It's like uncanny valley choral effect.
Yeah.
Like you can tell there's something not quite. I like it. It's the way my brain processes that is really funky.
But when it's in the whole mix, you probably didn't pick up on it being like that. You may now that you've heard it.
Yeah.
After that, I put an Echo Boy plugin, so just a little bit of delay on it. And those are the plugins that are making up that sound for the background vocals, which was an interesting thing. I've never done that before, but I was like, well, I'm using all these other vocoder effects. And the background vocals in the mix before that weren't sitting where I wanted them. They just sounded too clean and too real, where the rest of the song was getting really kind of crazy. So by adding these pitch shifted effects, it kind of really blended better into the full arrangement. And I thought it was a cool thing that I might experiment with in the future. I don't use that plugin often because it just sounds so weird. And I don't feel like I have a lot of opportunities to use it because it kind of just sounds so off usually. But this arrangement, I think, suited it well. All right, let's get off the bus. I had to use an ice cube in this song.
Yeah, I love what you did here.
So you were able to pick it out. I'll tell you what I did. I had a tray of ice down here in the studio, the big ice cubes, and I had a bunch of different bowls that I was trying out, and I was swirling the ice cube around. And I had to try out about 4 different bowls to get the one that I liked the sound of. I even tried cymbals. That didn't do shit. Don't even bother. Okay.
For all of you out there with ice cube bands,
if you're going to try and play a cymbal with an ice cube by rolling around on it, nope, doesn't work. A nice smooth bowl just kind of sounded not that cool. Just sounded like an ice cube swirling around. But we have some of these like more rough, like handmade bowls, and they have like a more rough finish on them. And swirling that around still sounded kind of like just an ice cube swirling around in a bowl, but then something cool started to happen. As the ice cube melted, it kind of got this little like concaveness to it, and then there was a little puddle of water starting to form on the bottom, and every time it would go around, it would kind of start doing this sucking noise. And Patrick, I put an example of the ice cube in the folder.
It sounds like an alien. It's like the classic War of the Worlds kind of sounds. It's cool.
Yeah, so here we go. We're going to listen to it. And you can really hear it start to like hit that suction.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. It gives it almost a wah effect.
It sounds like, again, we're back to Foley artistry, but it's like the sheet metal kind of thunderstorm. It's a cool effect.
So obviously that has a bunch of reverb on it, but that's the only thing that's on there is reverb, really.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you had some other stuff on there.
The song has 2 main guitar parts, and they're panned opposite each other. And then I added like a strat part, which I panned all the way hard one way with like a nice clean chords that would play throughout the song. And then to balance that out is the ice cube sound on one side. So if you listen to the mix again, you'll notice that. And there is also a pad that is doing like a swooshy type of thing, almost akin to this ice cube sound, but not quite. And it's like filling out the whole arrangement in certain parts. But yeah, the Ice Cube was really fun. It was one of the last things I put in. My original idea was like, I'm going to put it in a metal bowl and it's going to sound awesome. It's going to be like, woo, woo, and all these bass noises. And that also didn't do shit. So then I had like bowls, I was pulling them out of the cupboards upstairs, trying different stuff out. And I think it turned out really cool. Just another one of those, I know Brad hates when we do the special things, but I think they're fun because it forces you to just do something a little different. And like, this song definitely wouldn't have had that. And I probably wouldn't have picked that pad that was like a windy sound to go with it had I not had this sound that I had created. So yeah, that's a fun use of an Ice Cube. So definitely wouldn't have done that had been not been for these.
That alien sound kind of fits with the theme too. So
yeah,
that's cool. I really like how that turned out. Sorry, the cymbal didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't at all. I was hoping. I hope.
I'd probably write an email to Pasty or Dilgen, let them know.
Yeah, Chad, any thoughts on that?
It definitely changed the tone of it. That'll give me a lot more direction as far as cymbal work and rhythm for the choruses. I'm not even looking at the right song. I don't know. I'm looking at that change, but
Chad, I'd like to know if you can get an Ice Cube to sound good on a cymbal.
I might.
Because I bet you can.
You can't hold it.
Well, if
you're
put
holding it, it's not going to vibrate. You have to suspend the cymbal somehow.
I didn't want a physics lesson. I just want to hear that you're better than Wade.
Create like a mallet
Not
with a big Ice Cube on the end.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do that.
Probably going to call this song good with the drums that it has. Like, because I did weird stuff on them.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because this got to come out.
Well, that's fine. So. I didn't know if you were still going to have me go over it.
No, I think we'll probably concentrate on whatever's coming up next.
Gotcha.
I guess that's one interesting thing I did on this. Is I mixed the drums completely in the Addictive Drum plugin.
They sound good.
Which usually I'll export them all to their own track, audio files, and like manipulate them separately. But since I was under a crunch, I was like, well, this has all these features inside of this plugin.
Right.
That's got compressors and EQs. And I just kind of mixed them in there. And if you look on I don't have the session open, but if you did, it's just the MIDI up there. But you can do different effects within the plugin too. So I'm like triggering a white noise generator with the snare and I think a different noise generator with the kick. So I figured, well, if this is going to be fake drums, I'm going to like experiment with it. And this whole song was kind of like that, a little far out. So I pushed the reverb a lot harder than I normally do in songs, on the vocals, on the instruments, on everything, and just kind of took everything to the max. And I think it turned out cool. It's a little different sounding, I think, than
to the max, dude.
Yeah.
Radical.
Okay.
Tight.
Toit. All right. Well, I'm happy with it. Another song that wouldn't have gotten done if not for these ingredient song exercises. Hopefully we continue to do it in the future. You guys still working on them?
Yeah. I'm going for the record, for Pat's record.
You're gonna try and beat him? I don't know.
I mean, I have half a demo in the Dropbox, Chad, so...
You're way ahead of me,
yes.
then.
And we'll probably never see Wade in person for the rest of my life, so...
All right. Zoom for life.
Zoom for life. Radical.
Well, we got to get Patrick out here so he can go do his evening wanderings.
Bodacious.
So, as always, listeners, you can send us a message, bs@belongingsongs.com. You can listen to our songs on our website, belongingsongs.com, on the songs page. This song will be coming out next week on all streaming platforms. And then the following week will be one of our instrumental readers. So I've got to finish 2 of those and get this episode mixed and come up with 3 more songs for this season. So
chop it.
Yeah, we've already laid down the drums and bass, though, for our 2 remaining instrumental redos. So I got to get to work on those. So those will be coming at you soon. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook.
Semaphore.
What else do we say at the end of episodes?
Playlist on Spotify.
Ooh, yeah. There's
send
a link.
Us stuff.
No, we're supposed to send them stuff if they buy it on our website. Merch
we have
store.
stickers.
Yeah, Chad mentioned the playlist. Please check that out and please share that with your friends. It has all the songs and more that we've done on the show, and we're getting close to 100. I'm very proud of all the work we've done, and it's all there for you to listen to without having to listen to us talk all the time. You can just enjoy the songs. Please spread that around to your friends. Link in the episode description. Think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. For Brad, for Brad. He's not here, but I'm sure he appreciates you listening. For Chad, for Patrick, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you again next time.
Night and night, y'all.
Bradbot is not an equal opportunity employer.
Manic Patrick's stepping on his turf.
Yes.
Get it on out of my life.
Yeah, it's good. Boom, done. Next.